Okay, Ophiuchus. All right, so I think I understand what's happening for you right now, Ophiuchus, because that was like a lot of information, and it felt as though like I couldn't sort through it in my own mind. And it seems as though like that actually might be where you are at the moment right now, Ophiuchus. It's like there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information coming to you. It's almost like it's bombarding you with a bunch of creative ideas, planning, all that stuff. It's like everything is like right in front of your face, and it's become it at least for me in that beginning part of the reading, it's like it's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. It's a lot of good stuff. Like it's a lot of stuff that's gonna put you, you're already on the pathway to success. You're already on the rise. And it's going to continue that path forward for you. But it's like there's so much of it that it's like it's getting overwhelming. It's getting very overwhelming for you. As it was getting a little overwhelming for me in the reading and trying to understand. It's like I'm trying to also understand, who is this King of Swords? What exactly is going on? Why is he stopping the message? All that stuff. Why is he stopping the information from like bombarding you? Okay, and so what I understand here, so I'm going to do a little like recap of what's going on here. You're getting bombarded with a bunch of, I want to say it's like a heads up. You're about to get bombarded with a bunch of like creative insight. That's what it's coming through as. Lots of creative insight. It's giving me a little bit of when if you're like an artist and you have all of these ideas and it keeps coming. It's like creativity overload. And what's happening is it's almost causing like first of all, it's kind of causing you to go into this, I want to say it's like a manic mode, so that you can get all of it out, because you're just having to like process. Not It's almost like you're not even necessarily processing it. You're trying to, but it's so overwhelming that it's causing like a short circuit. And when that happens, that's when it seems like you're going into a state of where you're trying to just shut off your mind. You're trying to clear your mind. You're trying to clear your mind. And then what happens is this King of Swords comes. Those messages are still coming, right? It's like you're in an attempt to clear your mind. This King of Swords shows up. And I feel like the King of Swords for you, Ophiuchus, is actually beneficial, because you're receiving a lot of information, and it's like the King of Swords is actually the one who can take all of that information and, well, I mean, the Queen of Swords receives the information, and then the King of Swords takes that information and makes decisions, right? Like that's how this dynamic works. So it's like there's so much going on in your mind, and you're trying to clear your mind, and so you're speaking it. It's like speaking out. That's what this is referring to. It's like standing up, speaking out, like actually perhaps maybe even telling someone, almost like bouncing it off of someone. So like telling someone all of these insights, creative pursuits, ideas of how to take that creativity and like actually make it into something, all that, everything that entails. And And then as you speak it out to this King of Swords, it's almost like they're helping to establish a plan. That's what this is. You're on the path, right? And you are needing a plan on how to move forward into this next, into, well, right, into the prophecy fulfillment. Which is kind of interesting because if it is a prophecy, then that means that it's going to happen regardless, right? So there's not really, like, having a plan is almost, it's actually coming through as almost ineffective, because either way the prophecy is going to be fulfilled, whatever this is for you, whatever that prophecy is for you is going to be fulfilled. But perhaps maybe you are so concerned on how to actually get there that's what's overstimulating you. And so it seems like this King of Swords is coming in as kind of someone who will take what you have already gathered and kind of put you on a, it's like they're putting you back on track. They're putting you back on track because you kind of got a little off, you got a little removed, right? And so it's like then all this stuff is coming in, and it's like coming over, and it's trampling over everything that you've started for yourself. And then you have to step back, and when you step back, it's like you're put back on path. You're put back on track with a new sense of how to make it happen for you, how to put all of this creativity into an actual plan, into something that can actually show up for you in life. It's taking it from the internal realm and bringing it into the external realm. So how it's like the King of Swords energy is helping the transition from the internal into the external, and moving all of that creative insight into actual concrete ideas and strategy that you can use to move forward. So it's like this King of Swords is acting as something or somebody. It could be presented as an actual person in your life that you're able to bounce information off of, and it's like you're taking their feedback. It's coming through as like a feedback, because the King of Swords is acting as a sifting and a selection. So he's sifting through all of the things that you're presenting to him, and then he's selecting the ideas that would actually move you forward. So it's, initially you might actually, okay, well, let's go ahead and start the second portion of your reading and then get into that. So, we're starting off the second portion of your reading with, oh my God, 9 minutes in, with the Three of Wands. And this is coming through as like, it's like you can see it. You can see the pathway forward. You can see where you're supposed to be going. But, look at how far removed you are from that path. Like, this path is all the way down here. It's all the way at the base of this valley, and you're at the top of the mountain, right? You're at the peak. You have reached a point where you have that higher perspective, and that is beneficial, because it's like you needed to get that higher perspective in order to see the pathway forward. So even this part, the part where you're feeling like removed, it's coming through as like feeling removed from your path. that part is beneficial because it's like because at that higher perspective, you're able to see like where it's taking you, right? You're able to see that it's taking you to the Six of Wands. So you're at this place, right, where you're wanting to get to the Six of Wands. You're kind of also wanting to do it your own way because, next we have the Seven of Wands. Lots of wands, lots of fire energy. You're wanting to do it. It seems like it's very individually. This is the Six of Wands, right? And the horse, independence. It's very individually focused. So, like I was saying in the first half of your reading, it's like you don't want anyone else's influence, anyone else's ideas or influence coming through as influence. And so what that translates for you is that it's like it translates into the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands, it's talking about today for you about how you're fighting back the influence of what others think your success should look like. And that's why it's coming through as being very individually focused. It's like you yourself knows what that looks like for you. And it seems as though you're actually not wanting to bring your creative insights, to bring whatever this is to other people, because it's like when you do so, it's like they're adding their own mix. They're adding their opinion, right? They're adding their own mix to what you're trying to create. And it's like when that happens for you, this pathway ends up you end up having to take a bunch of corners. You end up having to take a big corner, right? So instead of it being streamlined, so you are making the best decision for yourself and kind of like removing yourself from the crowd's influence and focusing on what the Six of Wands means for you, solely, independently, by yourself. And there's a bit of, it's like as you're sitting there trying to clear your mind, what's coming to you actually is that you do actually have someone that you can present all of this information to that would help you get back on track. And with the Nine of Wands that's showing up again in your energy, it's talking about you being very defensive against wanting to take someone's advice, is what it's referring to. Taking someone's advice. There's a lot of defense about not wanting anyone else's influence on what you're creating. It is a soul experience for you, right? It's your path. And while that is, that is kind of like, it seems like that is actually the correct move to make for yourself. What it's doing is it's also positioning you to, well, it's that filtration process. So it's like you're learning whose influence is a good influence and whose influence is kind of taking you off path. So sometimes this King of Swords, okay, here we go. I want to say these are like past experiences of yours. So sometimes this King of Swords energy. It could just be an energy that is presents itself in your interactions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a singular person. It could be coming through a person, but it might be showing up in different ways and in different people. So sometimes, right, this King of Swords energy can influence you in such a way that does take you off path and puts you on a different uh, like on a pathway that's not necessarily yours, right? You see how there's all of these bins. It does take you off path. But what I'm seeing here is that there are also other influences that present themselves as the King of Swords that are actually beneficial and helping you make those turns and helping you kind of get around the bend. Because when you are on the path, seeing around these bends can be really hard, right? You don't know what's around the corner. You know what I mean? There's a lot of unknown that can happen in these bins. So it's like the King of Swords here is at, it seems like they are specifically that energy itself, be it working through someone else or not, or an internal thing that's playing out within you. It seems as though they are being positioned at the kind of like these critical turns on your pathway to redirect you and put you in a space where you are continuing on your path towards this Six of Wands. And it feels as though you're a little defensive. You're a little defensive about taking on their, well, what I'm hearing is criticism. It's like you're taking it as like criticism and not like constructive, if you will. It's like they're actually here to help. So they might actually be, you might be like telling them all of the things, right? You're delivering all of these messages, right? You're telling them all the stuff that you're trying to do, the things that you're trying to create, and they're putting a stop to it. And that it seems like that stop is what is triggering the defensiveness, because it's like they're not listening, but they are listening. They're listening, and they're kind of wanting to take that overwhelm from you, right? They're taking in the message, right? They do have the raven on their shoulder, so they are taking in what you're saying. But it's kind of like, okay, let me take in what you're saying, let me process it, and then let me deliver it back to you. So there's a moment where it's in that, let me stop you. Let me pause for a second. That's the point where you feel, it's like that's the point where you feel defensive about what they're trying to tell you. It's like you're taking it personal, taking their critiques as personal, and it's not meant to be that taken that way. It's meant to put you on track, put you on path, get you around that bend, because there's a bend here that's happening that you can't see beyond, but it's like they're here to help put your thoughts in order, to make it streamlined for you. And how that is showing up is like you giving them a bunch of information Well, you're receiving a bunch of information, you're holding it internally, and it's overwhelming you. And then you give them that information, and it's like they're able to process it. Somehow or another, they're able to process it and then give it back to you in a streamlined fashion so that you can create a strategy in order to move forward. It's working. It's like you're making a plan. You're seeing exactly with the artist here. You're making a plan. It's like you're writing down a plan. You see this message? He's a messenger too. It's like you needed someone else to help to process it with you. You needed someone else to help process this information with you. And so here they are. They're helping you. So with the artist, what's coming through is that they're helping to narrow in the focus. They're helping to narrow your focus down to specifics. So if you are so overwhelmed, it's like they're honing in on one thing. They're honing in on one thing, this tree energy. They're honing in on these wings. These wings are honing in on something that you need to focus on. Instead of all of these other things that you're focusing on, that you're trying to find clarity about, that you're trying to clear your mind and figure out how to organize them. It's like the King of Swords is coming through and is almost like pointing out. They're pointing out the specific thing that you need to be focused on. And that specific thing is what is going to like propel you forward. It's like you have all of these ideas and they're like saying, okay, well, in order to achieve, right? In order to look out ahead and achieve whatever is at the whatever the end goal may be, you got to organize your steps, right? So it's not going to be beneficial for you to focus on something that is further down the road. What needs to be focused on is something that is up close, something up close to you that will help to it's almost coming through. It's like it's coming through as like a foundational element. So it's like, okay, let's focus on this one thing first. We'll get that done, and then we can focus on the next thing, and then we can focus on. It's like building something. So you're building something creatively, especially with the artist. You're building something creatively, but even in its creation, there seems to be some type of strategy that is needed in order for that creation to reach its fullest, fullest manifestation, its fullest vision, the fullness of the vision to be reached. So they're helping you hone in on that focus. And we're ending the reading off with the star. And it seems as though this star energy is what that focus is supposed to be. And the star talks about, it does talk about healing. It talks about rejuvenation. It talks about, being vulnerable, being authentic, being yourself, shining your light bright as possible, and showing everyone, well, not necessarily, it's not in a showy type of way, it's just being you. So, what this King of Swords is I almost said King of Wands. What this King of Swords is showing you is to kind of like focus on what you yourself, it's this individuality again. What do you yourself want to create? It's kind of putting it back onto you, which is what's happening is like you're telling them what you want, your creative ideas, your desires, your passions, all of those things. It's all wand energy. And they're bouncing it back to you, almost putting it back onto you as well, focus on your desire. Focus on your authenticity. Focus on your independence. Focus on your shining. Focus on how bright you are. Focus on all the things that actually like separate yourself from the crowd. Because I often see the star as, it's a pinpoint of light and everything around it is dark. Oh my gosh. That's what the Palomino talks about. The Palomino talks about something or someone who stands out against the darkness, who stands out against, it's not against, but it's just standing out. But perhaps maybe focusing on standing out against the darkness is what's going to propel you forward. That's what this star energy is. Focus on that. And then as the star, that's what's going to propel you forward as the star, as like the one who is elevated in a sense. All right, Ophiuchus, thank you so much for allowing me to read your energies, and I will see you next time. Bye.